Good afternoon, guys. It's working, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar. This is the 4-hour chart on Coinbase. And last time we spoke, guys, Bitcoin was operating within this wedge. Did tell you guys that it looked like we were very likely going to see a break to the upside. This was favoring the bulls, clearly. Nothing was a certainty, guys, but obviously we were painting a very bullish pattern. Of course, that's exactly what happened, guys. I told you if we did break up, what area we were going to be watching. This area between 11,500 and 11,700. Of course, Bitcoin did come up almost perfectly, hitting the bottom of that area at 11,500. I think we went up to just shy of that, like $20 shy of that, at about yeah, about $11,476 on Coinbase anyway. So yeah, pretty spot on hit of our target there, guys, which again is bullish. Now, I was telling you, for those of you that have missed, I'm going to zoom out here to the weekly. Those of you that have missed my last few videos, and I do understand that some of you have asked me some comments or have asked in the comment section, I should say, you know, where I'm coming up with 11,500. So again, for those of you that have already heard it, please indulge me. And for those of you that haven't, we're getting this area because, you know, two reasons. We've got, if we come out here on the weekly, we can see back here basically from January to March of 2018. This was a major area of resistance on the as price was trying to break up here, guys. It was rejected every single time. We can see wick, 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 and then of course we had our major breakdown. What was resistance often acts as resistance again on the way back up, especially given the fact that we have all these wicks which do denote a lot of sell orders that are very likely sitting up in here. And of course that's all resistance is, right? It's just a bunch of sell orders. So this is what they call basically a supply zone. A lot of supply, a lot of sell orders that are sitting up here, guys, and a lot of people. So this is why visually, I call this a visual resistance. This is why we can see that this was very likely going to be a resistance, and why this still will be very likely a very difficult resistance to get above. I do believe this is where the lid is on the market. This is where if we can break above it, we're going to usher in a whole new parabolic move on Bitcoin, very likely. Of course, nothing is a guarantee, just, you know, very, very likely. This is a very relevant zone in the market. Now, it's not only because we can see that visual area of resistance there on the chart, but we also have that confirmed if I go swing high. And again, I apologize for those of you that have already heard this. I'm going to try to go through this quickly. If I go from the swing high of our $20,000 high down to our swing low here of $3,150, we can see that that 50 fib level lies perfectly right over that 11,500, solidifying the fact that this is a very, very, very relevant zone on the way back up, telling you that if we can get above this zone, guys, if we can get above that 11,700, which again, that's where that visual part of it. Now the 11,500 is the 50 knot is sitting there at 11,500, but if we can get above that 11,700 zone, guys, we can very likely there's not another major area of resistance until we get up here where we can see our visual resistance at about 13,700. That acted as support, and this is another very, very strong area of resistance. Acted as support basically from December through January of 2018, and then support turned into resistance, and then of course we broke back down. So this is another major visual resistance, as well as backed up by our fib level, where we can see the 618 and the 65 fib level. The golden pocket lies right at that area. So this is going to be the next major resistance level. Now we can see the wicks come right down here. We can possibly find some resistance if we do break up at about 12,800, but I wouldn't expect that to be nearly as strong as this 13,700, $13,800 area. But I don't want to get ahead of myself, guys. The point to all this is that's where we're coming up with those numbers. Sorry about that. That's where we're coming up with those numbers, and that's why it's going to be very, very relevant if we can clear this $11,700 area. Now, this also means that we can look for a major rejection possibly at this area. Nothing is a guarantee, but as I said, guys, we are seeing some signs of possible exhaustion in the market. Now, again, nothing says we can't continue up, but we're also coming up, not only are we going parabolic without a major 35 to 45% correction, which is very characteristic of Bitcoin. Typically, anytime we're going parabolic, we're going to have a 35 to 45% correction at some point. Doesn't mean it has to happen now, but at some point, and I do think we're long overdue for that. But the fact we're seeing some exhaustion in the market, obviously looking at the weekly here, guys, we can see that we're very, very extended. It would make sense that we have a correction in this area. Now, that being said, zooming back in here to the 4-hour, you know, and looking at those larger time frames, it does look bullish. In fact, let me go to the daily. the daily is still looking bullish here and does still like it wants to come back up and maybe test deeper into this zone, possibly testing the top at this $11,700 area, possibly even wicking above it here. Nothing says we can't wick above it, and if we do, it would be just that, a wick. I would not consider that a decisive break of this zone. I will not say that we've decisively broken above this major lid on the market until we get a daily candle both opening and closing above 11,700. Now, if you wanted to front run that, you could wait for a 4-hour candle to open and close above 11,700. You'd be taking on a little bit more risk, but of course, you know the potential for reward would also be greater. Again, so you guys have to make that call. I can't give you that call. It's not financial advice. But in the short term here, we're zooming back in here to the 4-hour. In the short term, I'm going to be watching this area very closely right here, the top of our ascending triangle, which is at about 11,000. Really 9,950 to 11,000, and we can see that we already broke back down, tested that zone, got bought right back up, which is a bullish sign, but this is very new. We've had one test. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. If we do break down below about $10,950, I do think we're going to drop back down to at least about $10,550. Would that be a good time to short? I would wait for a 4-hour open and close below 10,500. Now again, below 10,950, and then maybe a quick short down to maybe 10,550, maybe even 10,400 if you want to be a little bit more, take on a little bit more risk. But again, be very, very careful here, guys. This is, the risk to reward here, in my opinion, guys. This is if you're not already in a position, in my opinion, guys, this is a better time to just sit and wait. Now, if you did scalp this area, this bounce down here, that would have been a good time to do it. But right now, guys, I don't know that I'd be looking for any scalp right now. I think if you're holding your position, I'd be increasing my stop losses. If you are not already into a position, guys, I think again, not financial advice. You do what you want to do. Personally, I don't think I'd be getting into any position right now, guys, because the risk to reward just isn't there. We're literally sitting right below a major lid on the market. So again, the risk to reward just doesn't seem to be there, in my opinion. All right, quickly checking moving averages, exponential moving averages, as well as our Bollinger Bands here. I'm not going to bore you with this. I know I've discussed this at length in prior videos. Obviously, we're stretching out the upper Bollinger Bands here on the weekly chart. That is extremely bullish here, guys. Now, again, you're getting more and more light between the 8 exponential, 21 exponential, and the 55 there. Nothing but bullish there. Nice bullish posture there. Again, nothing but bullish there at all. Looking at the daily stretching out the upper Bollinger Bands here slightly, guys. Well above the 8-day EMA there, guys. We're getting more light between the 8, 21, and 55. Again, nothing but bullish here, guys. I'll start to get concerned if we do drop below the 8-period EMA, which is at about $10,400. And if you guys see there, that $10,400 line, let me go here to the 4 hours, it's a little bit more clear. That $10,400 pivot point, that would bring us below this area of consolidation, and that's when I'll start to think that maybe a larger correction is at play. Now, it doesn't mean that would have to be, but that's when I'd start to get a little bit concerned if we do take out $10,400. All right, coming back here to the let's go ahead and check longs and shorts, actually. Long starting to stack here, guys. This is a little concerning to me. I know I discussed this last time, but the fact that we had price shooting up and then longs just jumping here, again, just like we said back here, that is a sign that we're seeing a lot of guppies in the market. And yeah, we can see that longs jumped about 10.5% inside of 8 hours there, guys, and less than so that's I don't like to see that, guys. That is a sign that there's a lot of guppies that are starting to enter this market, guys. And anytime you get a lot of guppies in the market, you're going to have market makers that are very willing to take their money. The only thing that's holding up price at this point, I do believe, if we come over here and look at shorts also starting to stack here, guys. So if we start to see shorts start to fall off the board and longs continue to stack, that's going to be your sign that very likely a larger correction is going to follow. So I personally, that's kind of one of the, it's not the only thing, but that is one indicator that I watch very closely, just as a kind of a rough estimate on when I think we're going to have that larger 35 to 45% correction. Now, certainly that doesn't mean that has to be the case, but it is one good tool to keep an eye on. All right, coming back to the weekly, guys, checking the weekly RSI. Weekly RSI does look like it is suggesting some possible bearish divergence. We're not there yet, guys. We have yet to confirm that. But again, it is suggesting some bearish divergence, which does suggest we may be starting to see some exhaustion. Again, nothing is a guarantee yet. The trend is your friend, guys, until the trend ends, and it has not ended yet. So, I know that's a very cliche thing to say, if I can get my English properly, speak English properly there. But it's very, very true, guys. So, and you know, anyone that's bet against this trend on the way up here, guys, knows that. So until this trend is broken, and have a plan, because eventually we will get that larger correction. But until that trend is broken, guys, again, the trend is your friend. So, but that being said, we are seeing some signs of exhaustion in the market here. We are starting to get overbought here on the RSI, showing some possible leg here for some possible bearish divergence. Now we know this thing can come up higher. We've seen it here in the past numerous times. We've seen this thing top out in the 2017 bull market as high as, what did we get as high as about 91? Yeah, and we're only sitting currently at about 80. So, you know, yeah, this thing does have more room to run. I'm not suggesting that we're so overbought here that we have to correct here in the near future. Certainly that's not the case. Certainly we can come higher. But again, you know, we are seeing, eventually we are going to get that 25 to 35% correction, or 35 to 45% correction, and you want to make sure you have a plan for that. So how am I playing this, guys? If we do take out 10,400, I'm probably not going to take this short. If we do take out 11,000 to that 10,950, I'm probably not going to short it down to that 10,400. I probably will not do that, guys, in full disclosure. I might have to wait and see how the market dictates, but as of right now, I'm not planning to. If we do take out 10,400 decisively, I do think there's a very, very high probability, and at that point, guys, I may front run that. If we even have an hourly candle opening and closing below 10,400, I may front run that, guys. I may short down to about 9,950. I do think that's going to be a very relevant zone. If I go swing low, swing high, we can see that that is going to bring us down to very close to that that golden ratio that sits at about 9,850. So I would probably front run that and get out at 9,950 if in fact we do end up dropping down below that low. But those are kind of the areas that I'm watching. I will be looking for a bounce somewhere in this zone. Doesn't mean it has to happen. If this zone does break out, we could very quickly find ourselves down to that $9,400 zone very, very quickly. 9,400 does break down, we could very quickly drop down to that 8,500. Why am I pointing each one of these areas out? I'm pointing them out because each one of these potential areas of support provides you a nice little scalp. Now, I'm not telling you to buy and hold for the long haul, but if you're a scalp trader, if you're a day trader, yeah, certainly scalping off of each one of these pivot points would, in my opinion, not be a bad idea. Just make sure you don't get greedy, and make sure if you are scalping that you just scalp. The biggest mistake I'm seeing people make is they want to get into a very quick trade, and then they decide as price is going up, well, I'll hold it because it might go higher. And what do? It ends up going lower, and then they can't get out. And now just have a plan, get in and get out, execute that plan. If your plan is to hold, then hold. If your plan is to scalp, then scalp. But have a plan and execute that plan. To the upside, what am I going to be watching? I'm going to be watching for at least a 4-hour open and close above 11,700. If that does happen, I do think there's a good chance we could come up to at least 12,800, if not this $13,600 to $13,700 area that we discussed before. Again, a more conservative play would be to wait for a daily candle opening and closing above 11,700. Could you miss a major move if you wait for that daily? Yes, but you're also going to be protecting your capital, guys. And nothing is going to work out perfectly. You have to balance your risk and protecting your capital there, guys. You have to balance that. You're not going to get everything perfectly, but the name of the game is to have more wins than losses and to protect your capital so you have money to actually trade. And I don't like to preach to you guys, so I'll just leave it there. So to wrap this thing up in a bow, guys, I'm going to be watching this area very, very closely. If we do take out 10,950, I do think it's going to be a quick drop to 10.4. To the upside, guys, and the smaller time frames do look like we want to come back down and at least test about 11,100 to 11,000 again. We'll have to wait and see. And if you wanted to try to scalp that again, that's completely your call. I don't know if the risk to reward is there, but completely your call. To the upside, I'd like to see it. So if we can break above 11,500 and start consolidating above 11,500, even though we don't break out 11,700, that's going to be a very, very bullish sign. So again, let's wait and see how price reacts. But the larger time frames do look like, even though the smaller time frames do look like we want to come back down and maybe test that 11,000 to $10,900 area, the higher time frames do look like we want to come back up and test this zone between 11,500 and 11,700. And I'm going to be very, very interested if we can get deeper into this zone, how price does react at that point. So higher time frames, a little more bullish. Lower time frames look like they may want to pull back a little bit here, but we'll have to wait and see kind of how that ends up playing out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap Bitcoin there. I do want to start acknowledging you guys' questions. So at the end of the videos, I'm going to try to look over some of your questions and answer as many as I can. Obviously, I can't do all of them, but and I do get all your questions on direct messages as well on Twitter. I think a lot of people just like to remain anonymous, and I do understand why that is. So if you ever want to send me questions, guys, on direct message via Twitter, via Facebook, I'm all for that as well, guys, and I will of course always protect your anonymity. So all right, but let's look at these public questions here. Thanks to the analysis guy. No problem, Jerry. My pleasure. JK. Wish you thank you, JK. Let's see. I'm not sure. Suraj, am I pronouncing your name correctly there? I apologize if I'm not, guys. Certainly don't mean any disrespect, but thank you for that. Frank, appreciate you, man. You're always there leaving positive comments. I always appreciate that. Peter, Peter, we've talked about this. Thank you very, very much. I do appreciate that. I have changed the Bitcoin address in the cookie jar. If anyone does send, I always appreciate your tips, guys, but thank you very much for sending that. Thank you very much. And what'd you say? Upgrade the address on your way, correction, take advantage of. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Possible correction to be last week. Was able to take advantage of it and make a profit. Very nice chat. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I'm really glad to hear that you were able to make a profit off that, Peter. Looking at Jay says 11,500, 50%. Yes, it is. We've covered that, Jay. 11,500 is the 50% retracement. We've covered that numerous times in past videos, but you're exactly right, Jay. Let's see. Thanks a lot for Jay. My pleasure. Can I look at Bitcoin Gold? Yeah, I can look at Bitcoin Gold real quick with a BGT, Bitcoin Gold, where are we? Or BTG, sorry, BTG it is, not BTG. Bitcoin Gold. All right, pulling out on the weekly on Bitcoin Gold. It's not it's not the most bullish chart, obviously. And forgive me, guys. I don't know much about Bitcoin Gold. I really don't. It's and I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody. To me, I've always thought of it as kind of a scam coin, but I know it was a fork of Bitcoin, and I just don't know exactly what they do. I'm not much of a fundamental trader. I'm more of a technical analyst, but Bitcoin Gold does look like, to be fair, it does look like we're putting in. Let's see, we're putting in a top. We're hitting resistance right here at about 32.2. So let's call it 32, guys. I do think if it does break above, if we get confirmation and we get a decisive break above 32.2, I would say a daily candle, both opening and closing above 32.2, then it does look like it wants to make a run to about $40, I would say. Somewhere thereabouts. To the downside, I would say if it breaks down below about 27.40, that's going to be a quick drop to at least 24.26. And 24.26 does break down. It'll be a quick drop to about 19.5. All right, checking Omar. Yeah, I've discussed this with you, Omar. You bought bad at 33 cents. I know we discussed this a few weeks ago. I think I told you I gave you targets of to sell at 35 and 37 cents and to increase your stop loss each time. I guess you didn't do that, which again is your prerogative, man. I think BAT is a good token to hold long term. So if you're planning on holding it, then just hold it for a year or two and forget about it. But if you're a trader, again, I go back to have a plan and stick to the plan and don't get greedy because you think it's going to continue to go back up. And again, that's not a personal attack, Omar. I've been there. I've done that. I say that because I've learned from experience. I've made those mistakes, and I'm trying. And the whole reason I made this channel, guys, is because crypto has been very, very good to me, and I just kind of want to give back to the community. And if we don't learn from each other's mistakes, then how do we learn? So I've made those mistakes, and this is why I suggest you make those mistakes or you don't make those mistakes, and hopefully you can learn from mistakes I've made in the past, and you don't have to make them. All right, let's go at Cardano. Yeah, I can look at Cardano real quickly. Let's look at let's see. In fact, I already had it up here. I don't know if you want me to look at Cardano to Bitcoin or Cardano to the dollar. Looking at it to the dollar. Yeah, it does look like it was trying to create a nice, not a nice little, but a very sloppy looking cup and handle here. Didn't quite break out, didn't make the breakout, and it's been struggling to break out ever since. Finding resistance right, sorry about that. Finding resistance right here at about 9.5 cents. So yeah, and yeah, I mean, Cardano does look like it may want to break out here. Nothing. If I would say if we can get a, yeah, I mean, I would say if we can get a daily candle both opening and closing above about 10 cents, I do think Cardano wants to jump up to about 11.7 cents, somewhere thereabouts, guys. To the downside, I'd be watching for a break below about, if Cardano does break below about 9 cents. I think if we get a decisive break below about 9 cents, it does look like it wants to quickly drop down to about 8 cents. Somewhere thereabouts, and I'd have to reevaluate at that point. But yeah, I mean, all the altcoins at the moment right now don't look strong. Bitcoin, everyone's waiting for altcoin season, guys, and I have to tell you, I don't think it's going to be like it was in 2017. I mean, what I mean by that is, yes, I think altcoins are going to do very, very well. Certain altcoins, I think other altcoins are just going to die away, but it's not going to be like it was in 2017, where you could literally put on a blindfold, throw a dart at any altcoin on the on coin market cap, and you were going to make a fortune. It's not going to be like that anymore. This is the second wave of investors, and now we're seeing smart money come in. It's not the same money that was coming in 2017, where everybody was wanting to come in, wanting to be a millionaire overnight. It's not the same money coming in. This is smart money, so they're going to do their homework. So this is why I think Bitcoin is going to do a lot better than a lot of people are suggesting it's going to do. I think that we're going to start to see a split between Bitcoin and a lot of the stronger altcoins, and I think a lot of the crap altcoins are just going to die off. And so the bar is much, I mean, that is the understatement of the year. The bar is so much higher now than it was for an altcoin to be successful. So no, I don't think that we're going to see the same kind of altcoins just, hitting 1000x overnight. I just don't see that happening, guys. I think it's going to be a much more, the stronger coins like Bitcoin, I think are going to be the ones that get the larger gains. But as far as the 1000x things on any altcoin you hit, I just don't think those days are going to be the same as it was prior. And I think that we've got to wait to see Bitcoin start to consolidate or even correct before we're going to get money flowing into the altcoins. All right, I'll quickly look at Cardano to BTC for you. And yeah, it's been a while since I've looked at this chart. Yeah, this is just not a great looking chart, man. I will say that we are hitting major support down here between about 800, about 660 to 800 Satoshi. Hitting some decent support, bouncing above that right now. Does look to me like, if I zoom in here on the daily, does look like we want to come back down and test about 810 Satoshi-ish. Somewhere thereabouts, and I have to reevaluate at that point. Longer term, I do like Cardano. I do like what they're doing. I just think what they're doing is very theoretical, and it's one of those coins that is either going to explode, based on a lot of their hope and a lot of their promises coming to fruition, or it's just going to die off because they were just too ambitious. And it's tough to tell whether or not Charles Hoskins is a genius, or whether or not he's just a little bit ahead of his time and is just going to end up collapsing to other coins that are actually producing a working product. I don't know, but I will say that I respect him. I respect this project. I have a lot of respect for this project. Whether it's anybody's guess whether or not it'll be successful. All right, getting back to your comments, Frank wants to know if Frank wants Litecoin to Bitcoin. Yeah, I can look at Litecoin to Bitcoin very, very quickly. I would assume it's going to be very similar to Cardano, but let me look here. Ouch. Yeah. I mean, and I know I sent you a message, Frank, talking about this, but yeah, it does. I think I told you in the message. I think we were sitting, when you asked me that question, I think we were sitting somewhere around, was it like 1 million to, what are we even in Satoshis now? Let me just come back here and look. Yeah. When you sent me the message, we were sitting at about 1,234,000 Satoshi. I told you that was very fragile support. I told you if that breaks, we're very likely going to break down to 1,132,400 Satoshi. So yeah, and it did in fact break down, and I would still hold to that. It does look like it wants to break down to about that 1,132 Satoshi. Doesn't mean that has to happen, Frank, but it does look like that's what it wants to do at the moment. And would I be a buyer down here? This does not look like a great chart. It does look like we might find some support down there, but it doesn't look like a great chart. If we do end up bouncing off that zone, if we get a strong bounce off that zone, yeah, would we quickly rise up down to about 1,300,000 Satoshi? Yeah, that's a real possibility. But again, this is a very, very bearish looking chart here in the short term. All right, and finally, Vladicus, and that is, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that name. I mean no disrespect at all. But you asked, what do you think about B-wave rally theory? Do you think due to the ultra bullish nature of this rally is seemingly on no fundamental news? Do you believe in the possibility that this rally is just a bear market rally? No, yes. Do I? Yes and no. Yes. Do I think this is it's possibly a bear market rally? Yes, it's possible. Again, the only thing consistent about cryptocurrency is it consistently surprises. So could this thing surprise us all and this be a bear market rally? Yes. That is possible. Do I think it's probable? No, I don't think that's probable. I do. And as far as your B wave rally theory, I don't put much emphasis on that B wave. I just or hyper wave in general. I'm not even sure if that's what you're referring to. But no, yeah, it's something to keep in the back of your mind. It's certainly something to reference in relation to other things. But do I think this is a bear market rally? To answer your question, no, I don't. I do think that the bull market is in, and I do think that while we do have a larger correction on the horizon, I don't think that we are coming down to new lows. I do think that low of $3,150 was the low, and we are now in a bull market. Even though, in a bull market, we do have major corrections. Again, 35 to 45% correction. I don't think that this is, I just don't put a whole lot of, I don't put a whole lot of weight or put a whole lot of faith into those bear market theories at all. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working. Signing out.